evening. I bet this is a shock for some of you. Some of you may have tuned in to see my lovely and talented and beautiful and stunning Auntie Dale Blue show, and it's a legit metaphysical world. Well, unfortunately, this evening Dale is feeling not so well. She's been recommended by doctors to get some rest and to drink lots of fluids and to not speak. So she's unable to join us this evening. However, you get kind of a special treat this evening. You get to see my face leading us in, and you also get to see one of our favorite podcasts that we ever did. We broadcasted it live on on August 22nd, 2021. This episode is very significant for a few reasons, but mainly for the fact that our guest that night was none other than Varnum Armory's treasurer and assistant to the curator, Tim Jackson. Tim Jackson premiered. He came on. We're going to show you that episode in just a couple minutes. That episode was so important because just almost five months to the days later, on January 21st, 2022, Jim. Oh my God, I'm sorry. Tim Jackson left us and passed unexpectedly. So a moment of silence for Tim Jackson. Tonight's beer, I'm going to have a beer of the week. Tonight's beer is the beer of the week that I had live on August 22nd, 2021. It's none other than Gray Sale's own Captain's Daughter. Captain's Daughter is brewed in at Gray Sale Brewing down in Westerly, Rhode Island. It was significant that evening because we were expecting Hurricane Henri, which I know Mike had great difficulty understanding why it wasn't Hurricane Henry, because it was the French-Canadian pronunciation of Henry Henri. So the National Guard, the Rhode Island National Guard, led by one Jeff Ahern, stormed the beaches of Westerly and stopped Henri from arriving here in Rhode Island and causing us certain devastation. So that's why I had Captain's Daughter. Also, it's a great beer to drink, found in most major liquor stores, brewed down there in Westerly, Rhode Island. So tonight's episode is dedicated to the memory of Tim Jackson. And if you're interested after seeing the show, which I can't imagine anybody watching this episode wouldn't be, the Varnum, hold on, I'm going to connect you with what I'm looking at. Hopefully I have nothing scandalous on the screen. So you see what I see. You go to Varnum Continentals. You at Google, you Google Varnum Continentals. Varnum Memorial Armory is located here at 6 Main Street, East Greenwich, Rhode Island. It's that big old red castle that you pass by going through East Greenwich. That maybe you're coming home from the beach and you go by this big old red castle. It's fantastic. But anyway, you go to the Continentals webpage. You click that. Okay, here we go. You bring this up. This is the Varnum Continentals website. It talks about various projects that they're doing. They're adding spaces at the armory as we speak. But you go to museums. You go down to Varnum Memorial Armory. Tour the armory. Click that. It brings you to this lovely tour page where you can sign up. You'd either come to one of our, I say our because I have the distinct pleasure of being a docent at Varnum Armory. You can come to one of our open houses on February the 5th, March the 12th, or April the 16th, all Sundays, all free and open to the public from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. and tour the various halls and artifacts that are stored in house at the armory. Also, their conservation efforts are second to none. This museum is not, as Tim and I will discuss, it's not well known. It's not well spoken of. It's not, when you think of great Rhode Island museums or great museums in itself, people often think of the Smithsonian. This place blows Smithsonian away in my eyes. It's a complete tribute to Rhode Island history and the military history in Rhode Island. So without further ado, we're going to go to the YouTube page. And this is the episode. Oh, wait a minute. I gotta mute myself, huh? Hold on. Give me a second. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna exit the full screen. I'm gonna go back to StreamYard. Mike is probably cursing me right now. I gotta go to this. Without further ado, oh boy, here we go. Tim Jackson.
Please let Buddy hear me and turn the volume up because there's no volume on that video. There you go, pal.
What?
Copy the video and send it to me right now. Copy the video, send it to me. Send me the video link so I can play it correctly. Well, you guys are getting an inside look on how this all works. This all works beautifully.
What am I doing, Mike?
Send me the link to the video. I will play the video with volume.
Okay.
Ho ho ho! Let's do it. Dun, 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 dun. Send me the link. Just copy and paste it.
I'm doing that, Mike. Hold on.
While they're listening, buddy, and this is a recorded thing. Guardian angels around.
Okay. Well, there you go, Mike. That's the thing. So you can play my
prayers. There's one with shiny wings that holds my hand and shows me paradise. Hold on, buddy. I'm gonna get that, but you're gonna have to deal with that horrible
thing. Close all this out.
Yeah, just close it out, buddy. Guardian angels to come for me. Okay, you can now take a drink. Hey, who'd you talk to? What's going on? It is me. It is Mike Lepre, King Mike L. This is Legit Paranormal from www.legitpodcast.com. We're going to keep mentioning that, so it sinks in your brain this time. And when I think of brains, the genius Kev. What's up, Kev?
Hey, how's it going, King? I'm sitting at home here, waiting for Tropical Storm Henri to hit. Very, very disappointed. I was actually just completely unproductive today. Sat around waiting for this storm to hit, and still waiting. So I'm not happy.
We already had this conversation before the show started, and I said it to you. It seems like everybody in the area is disappointed that a hurricane didn't hit down. Like, where's the hurricane? I bought all these batteries. I got all these batteries. Like, you know what I mean? It's like, Jesus. Be happy, you know? All right. Speaking of happy, Buddy there. What's up, buddy?
Hey, guys. Yeah, so everybody's complaining and is upset that a major disaster didn't
completely wipe our little state off the map. We have to thank for that people like viewers of ours, Major Jeff Ahern in the Rhode Island National Guard. Cheers, boys, for going down there to Westerly and meeting the forces of Henri on the beaches of Westerly and defeating Henri and forcing him to retreat into Connecticut. Cheers to Rhode Island National Guard. In spite of them, I'm drinking from Westerly, Captain's Daughter. It's a beautiful double IPA. You guys probably know it well. Anyone from Rhode Island knows it well. Made by Grace Ale, right down there in Westerly, that just got hammered by Henri before he ran Northwest.
Two things, buddy.
But doing pretty good.
Two things. Insight. In spite. What did you say? In spite. That means in spite of, like opposite. You were meant to say inspired by.
I used the wrong piece of vocabulary.
Inspired. Inspired by. We're fine. Just remember, inspired. Listen, inspired. We're good at that one.
Inspired.
There you go. Second. What? It's Henry. Like I know that they don't want to pronounce it.
My grandfather's name. It's a French pronunciation of Henry. A little education. Henri Gautier built pieces of Maryville, Rhode Island. So there's a little bit more there, guys.
But you just said it's the French name for Henry.
Henri is Henry in French.
So it's Henry. Either way, either or, right?
Well,
Jeez Louise. Buddy, why don't you bring anything? Go ahead, Kev.
I think we got to actually start verifying these breweries that Buddy mentions, because somehow there's 600 breweries in Rhode Island that none of us have ever heard of.
Great Sale in Westerly, Rhode Island. They're a beautiful location. They're right on the river. You could
the river guy. Oh, hey, guy, park your car in the river. Hey, Kev, I think he got that from Brother Ray last time. One Brother Ray.
I'm like, I gotta give me some daughter. I love the daughter.
So if Brother Ray drinks it, it's real, you know?
Yeah. It is real. Okay. All
right, buddy. You do the introductions. Here we
go.
go.
This week we are blessed to be joined by a man who served many years also in the United States Armed Services, the Army, the 101st Airborne. Jesus, like historical significance. Like whoa. He came home and became the treasurer and the assistant to the curator at the Barnum Memorial Armory, which is like right behind him. Is one of the nicest in the entire museum. This place has like thousands and thousands of artifacts. I shit you not, mostly from Rhode Island, from Rhode Islanders, and it's the most unknown. Not unknown. It's the small. It's I don't know. The least known museum with the most. Everybody should know about Barnum. So without further ado, Tim Jackson. Thank you. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. Happy to be here. Thanks, guys.
Hey, Tim. Good to meet you.
Tim, how are your feelings about
it was like the biggest little secret in Rhode Island.
What'd you think about the non-hurricane?
As a homeowner, pretty happy. I don't really need to replace a roof or something or trees. I'm pretty happy with the non-show. I'm happy that Henri was a no-go.
Kev is supposed to respond when someone says something about a non-hurricane. Not, God, why did I buy these batteries? So Tim,
yes.
I want to start off with this. What age did you get into the armed forces?
17.
17. Okay. Tell me something. Boot camp.
Yeah.
Boot camp now is different than boot camp then. That first day, is it as scary as my dad made it sound, or my uncle made it sound, or everybody else made it sound?
It was for me. Yeah, I was a 17-year-old kid from the suburbs of Rhode Island. I was in a foreign environment. My drill sergeant was a veteran of the 173rd Airborne in Vietnam. He had a combat infantryman's badge, and I think he was bipolar. He was everything you wanted in a drill sergeant, and I think I'm still scared of him.
So how fast does it take to acclimate, like to go from being a Rhode Islander to being in military shape?
Everybody's got a different point. We call it the hump. You hit the hump. It's the worst part that you go through. It's where you think you can't make it or where everything kind of changes. I was lucky. I hit mine on the third or fourth day in, and I just went with the program. And at the end of basic training, which is 8 weeks, and then into infantry school, at the end of it, you come out. You definitely change.
Is it possible to hit a hump in real life for 4 years?
Oh yeah, I think that's a slump. But yeah, I mean, if you've ever been like atrociously married and you just think you can't go on anymore, and you hit a point where you're kind of at peace with everything, and you're like, yeah, it's going to be all right. That's definitely a hump in the lifetime. But you're tossed in an alien environment when you go to basic training, and part of what they want to do is remove your civilian identity and make you part of the team. They want to take your core and kind of remold it into what they need. So my drill sergeant was a hardcore guy, but he was a great teacher. He set a good example for us. Everything he did with the reason, even the crazy stuff. And I feel that I'm a better person for that experience, even though it was a very long time ago.
Yeah, I feel like that makes people different. I can see it in certain people. And then there's people like me that didn't go in the armed forces, and I'm lazy. So now here's the thing about the Armory. Before we did this show, Kevin and I didn't know it even existed, which is awful on our part.
Yeah.
Awful. But we represent a lot of a lot of non-informed New Englanders.
Non-informed.
So if I were to ask you, Tim, what's the Armory? Like, give me your, the elevator speech. You tell somebody about it.
Yeah, first I want to thank Buddy in particular for being a great advocate of our mission. Without supporters like Buddy's been a particularly strong advocate for it. We wouldn't have, half the awareness that we have now. So the Armory is it's an armory. It's a castle. If you've ever been to East Greenwich, with the big red castle at the end of Main Street across from the old post office, it was built by our organization, the Armed Continentals. It's the only privately built and originally privately owned armory in the state of Rhode Island. We did have a long relationship with the Rhode Island National Guard. They rented space from us, but the state has never owned this building. They've had nothing to do with its construction. It was all done by us. Upstairs, we have 140 by 45 foot drill hall. And then downstairs, we have museum space. And it's filled with the largest collection of Rhode Island military artifacts on display in the world. We have some incredible things. Patrick Donovan, the curator, is doing an incredible job getting artifacts, getting people to loan artifacts to us, getting to gift artifacts to us. We have a conservator, Maria Vasquez. She came in here about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. She has a master's degree in textile conservation from URI. She's taught textile conservation at URI as an adjunct professor. So we're able to take these incredible uniforms that we have, these amazing artifacts, the flags, and have them properly conserved. Their deterioration of the organic materials, the wool, cotton, and linen that they're made of, and have them properly displayed. So this is a uniform that was worn by Lyman Aylesworth, Company L, 1st Rhode Island Cavalry. The flag that I was just standing in front of was his guidon that was lost in battle in June of 1863. It was returned to us by the state of North Carolina. Lyman survived the war. He wasn't captured at that particular action. He was one of the escapees. He was very active in Veterans Affairs, and his family gave us his uniform and equipment to display at the museum. So we have it professionally mounted. The old cartoons that you'll see about moth eating wool are true. A lot of the uniforms that we have been moth eaten over the years. This uniform, William Lewis, Battery G, 1st Rhode Island Artillery. So he was
a musician, right?
Yeah, that's a musician's jacket, yeah.
Yeah, that's
We've got a
pretty
picture of him wearing it right here.
Yeah.
Oh.
So he wasn't wearing it when he was killed in action. He died at the Battle of Shooting Creek, October 1864. He saved one of the cannons from capture by the Confederacy. They were driving the cannon and caisson away. There's 6 horses pulling the cannon assembly away. He jumped on the horses and stopped them, like you see in the Westerns where a guy jumps on a team of horses and stopped them. He did that. Right after he did it, he was shot dead by a Confederate. He's 19 years old, 20 years old. He was a kid. All right, it's his picture here. Just a young fella.
Wow.
And in the modern army, what he did, he would have gotten probably a Silver Star for it. Very brave action. This jacket was in his effects and was sent home. And this is on loan to us from the Pamplin Historical Park from the Petersburg, Virginia battlefield.
You know what? All I think is too many buttons. Am I wrong when I see
You
that?
know?
I go, how many, like, I can barely do 2 buttons. When they came out with button fly jeans, I was like, forget this. I'm not doing this.
Well, you know,
Who's the
the
time
other
we
thing
gotta
is
go?
they're made out of wool. You imagine fighting
Yeah.
in Virginia in June or July wearing a wool uniform? Not
We've
well,
been to Virginia, and no,
Yeah.
I would say no. I
In
can't.
June, yeah, it was hot.
yeah, it's miserable. Absolutely miserable.
It's beautiful down there, but yeah, maybe not the fight.
Oh,
in the war.
yeah. No, I
So-
wouldn't want to march all over Virginia carrying a musket, a backpack, and wearing a wool uniform. It's probably not pleasant.
Yeah, no.
So,
Kev?
Tim, how did you get involved with the Armory? So obviously we talked a little bit about your, your military service and that, but how did you get involved with the Barnum Armory?
So, Patrick, the curator, is a friend of a friend, and there's a third friend. So I guess they're all coworkers at one time. He's an expert on the British soldier. And the Revolutionary War was giving a speech here. My buddy said, "Hey, this guy I know is giving a talk." Came in. Patrick gave my buddy, his son, my youngest son, an impromptu tour. And at the end of the tour, Patrick looked at me and said, "You should come work for me." And I was like, "I should come work for you." And I've been here ever since.
Cool.
I was
Your
totally
time,
nerding out on
how
the
many
stuff.
years, Tim? How many years have you been at the Armory now?
It's over 5 now. I came here in 2016. Oh, 6 years. 6
All right.
and change now.
What
Yeah,
what
came here in
major
2015.
changes? I mean, there's been a lot of major changes. What major
So
changes?
the place looked like Patrick had been here for a year working by himself. The place looked like a junk collection. He's turned it into a professional looking museum. I've been fortunate enough to help him out a bit with that. And, we did a lot of renovations. We did a lot of organizing. We did a lot of cleaning. Just the firearms, the things that are made out of leather, they weren't being preserved properly. The uniforms were mossy, things like that. So
All right.
it's been a
So
lot.
I don't want to stop you from showing us stuff. I would rather
Sure,
have you
sure.
talk
You do what you want.
stuff. Yeah, no. I don't want to hear Kev. I don't want to hear Buddy. I don't really want to hear myself talk right now. I'd just rather hear you talk, and let's see some more of the place.
Yeah, show us the best stuff, Tim.
All right. So this is a Civil War display case. These are some Civil War handguns. Below them, we have, this is a treasure that Patrick rescued. The National Guard owns it, the Rhode Island Guard. The Rhode Island Guard's been great supporters of us, cooperating with us, allowing us to display things. This is a Confederate artillery guide on it, captured by the 4th Rhode Island Volunteers at the Battle of New Bern, North Carolina in March of 1862. So the 4th Rhode Island charged the Confederate battery. They flanked them and overran the position. They lost 15 dead and about 30 wounded capturing the Confederate guns and this guide on. So it's you can see by the size of it, it's not a huge flag. It was for a Confederate, it was called Latham's Battery after the commander. This was hanging by nails in a National Guard armory. And it was pretty dirty. It hadn't been cleaned probably since they put it up there in the 1870s. So with the cooperation of the National Guard and General Richard Valenti, we were able to go there. I helped Patrick take this down off the wall. We carefully put it in a box. It's been professionally cleaned and conserved, and we're very proud to have this on display here. We have uniform of James Chase, who commanded Battery G and B of the 1st Rhode Island Light Artillery. I showed you the musician's coat just a moment ago. Chase was his commander when he was killed. This uniform, when Chase was at the Battle of Gettysburg with the 1st Rhode Island Light Artillery, he was a lieutenant. We have the uniform. It's got captain's rank on it. One of the people who's been very helpful to us, Brendan Cinnamon of the Union Drummer Boy, which is a store in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. He's an expert on Civil War material and uniforms. Pointed out that the epaulets, the shoulder boards here, had originally been lieutenant's rank, and they had the extra bar sewn on them. Wow. That gives us good credence that this was actually worn by Chase at the Battle of Gettysburg.
That's awesome.
This is from the 1st Rhode Island Detached Militia who fought at the First Battle of Bull Run. A blanket was a very distinct piece of kit that they wore. This is the only one known to exist. And Patrick arranged the South County Museum to loan this to us. They didn't have it displayed in a way that they appreciated or we wanted to see. They did a very good job conserving it, and we were fortunate to get it loaned to us. Now, stuff that may cause paranormal things here. Try and get a good shot of these. Forgive me. See if I can get. Yeah, you see these gloves?
Yep.
So these are cotton linen gloves. They were worn by a private named Dubois.
Wow.
Private Dubois was wearing these gloves when his commanding officer, Lieutenant Henry Prescott, there's a picture of Prescott right there, was shot in the head. Prescott's one of the first 7 or 8 Rhode Islanders to die in the Civil War. There are a lot of good first-person accounts of the battle. Prescott was shot. Dubois caught him and lowered him to the ground. These are the gloves that Dubois was wearing. The stains that you see on them are Lieutenant Henry Prescott's blood.
Wow.
And Dubois' family donated these to the museum a number of years ago.
Hey, Tim, really
bloody gloves.
Really quick, though.
Yes,
So it's of my guess that these would be the things that could be, I don't want to say haunted, but have something attached to them. Like when there's someone else's blood on gloves, like that to me would be like, oh, that's an item that might have something going on with it. Does that usually seem to be the case?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Now, why? Why do they get trapped in that thing? Like, what is it about? What is it about? Especially with the military, it seems like they're more attached to items than most others, right? Like that's how I see it so far.
Yeah, if you're fighting, your personal weapons and equipment are your whole world. You have a limited scope of possessions and items. So, particularly as an infantryman, your weapon, your personal weapon, but whether it be a rifle or a machine gun or whatever, is everything. You clean it before you clean yourself. You sleep with it. You you take care of it. It's your everything. I still remember the serial number for some of the stuff I was issued, 30-something years ago.
Those rifles that you're showing now, those are Revolutionary War, used in the Revolutionary War, yes?
They're post-Revolutionary War. They're copies of a French musket. There's 5 that you see here, so I'll go down from 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Were all manufactured by Rhode Island gun makers.
Wow.
In the 18-teens and 1820s, they were one of our members put together the collection and then donated it to the museum for display. This is a piece of the colors.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Tim. Can I ask you just a question about the musket? So, I mean, those look like they're in perfect condition. They're obviously like 200 years old. So,
they're 200 and change. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, when something like this comes to you guys, like do you have experts that will kind of condition it, preserve it? Because I mean, they look like they're brand new. It's kind of surprising to me. Still there?
You can Tina. Did you lose me?
Yeah, I lost you for a second.
Oh, sorry. You can see the metal patinaed. Yeah. If you see up close, you can see where there's forearms and the wrists of the stock sometimes are worn from use, but they were well cared for, right? They're not necessarily, this one in particular, you can see the aged metal, right? It's not that they were abused, it's just well cared for. Again, I talked about that before. You take care of your weapon before you take care of anything else. Mm-hmm. And the condition of these firearms reflects it.
Are there 2 guns that are in working enough condition that Kevin and I could maybe have like one of those back-to-back duels where we walk up 10 feet, turn and fire?
Oh, yeah, we got some here. There you go. Oh, we'll give you some classy flintlock.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yep.
All right, got 2 right here. It's almost a match.
I'll take the long one.
Yeah. And then
only makes sense, right, Kev?
The collection here.
Oh, nice little tiny guns. Nice.
Those are awesome. It's almost like John Wick.
Any guns that are connected?
Civil War musket manufactured in Rhode Island.
Do you have any guns that are connected to any like major battles? Like,
yeah, I think I found the black one.
Kev, what I'm trying to say is, room. This looks like a place like John Wick would come running into. You know what I'm saying? Smash into it and just start using old muskets. Think about it. He's used everything else, but why doesn't he break into like an old armory? That'd be a great John Wick scene. But
that's a great hallway. Oh, that's a good flag.
Look at this.
Oh, show him the flag. There you go.
Let's see the flag. All right.
Yeah.
So the Maria had been working with the Bristol Historical Society going over some of their things. And they had a bunch of flags that were wrapped up in plastic drop cloth and had painter's tape around them standing up in a corner. This flag's one of those flags. So Patrick, using his Patrick magic, convinced them to loan the flags to us so that we could conserve them. And I was part of the team. We opened the flags up, and we started to unroll this one, and it's just gold silk. It's got a fringe. It's got those tassels over there. But on the tip of the flagpole on the finial, there's a dedication from a guy named Nathan Byfield. And Byfield is one of the founders of the town of Bristol. And the date on the finial is 1743. So we started looking into it. And through the research, a variety of experts, we determined that this flag is 1780s. It's a colonel's flag that was carried in King William's War by Byfield. And this is the finial here. Just a little piece of metal, but it's got engraving here. It's very dark under the patina. And this is the oldest colonial flag in America. Again, from the 1680s. The silk is very delicate. They deteriorate pretty quickly. They actually carried this thing in parades until like the 1920s. It used to be red. Maria, again, our textile conservationist, who is just brilliant. They would make the flag out of silk. They would dye it gold, and then they would dye it red. And the gold would help the red dye stick. It's a natural pigment. We did find a little bit of red in the little tube where the flagpole went. And there's some specks on it that we haven't tested because we think it's blood. So the Army, the actual Army, the United States Army, is helping us with the conservation costs, investigating stains like this one here that we think are blood stains to find out if it's human blood or animal blood. And we're probably going to have this go on loan to the National Museum of the United States Army next year. They get ready for the 150th.
A flag like that would have been used,
Go ahead,
say, in the King's War?
King William's War, actually.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, another one of the conflicts, there were Native Americans and English settlers on one side and Native Americans. Did you lose me again?
No, I got you.
All right, so the musket you see here is a British brown bat. It's a fairly rare variant. It's called a non-commissioned officer seal. They made about 1,500 of them at Dublin Castle. We know of 3 in the United States, and they were carried by sergeants in grenadier companies. And the grenadiers were like the tall, healthy guys. They're kind of like shock troops. I compare them to our Rangers. This is a copy of the muster roll for the 24th Regiment of Foot at Saratoga. And you can see James Hughes, Thomas Ford, and Henry Fogg were the sergeants who would have been issued muskets like this. This one was captured from the 24th Regiment of Foot at the Battle of Saratoga. And by the stock number, it's a little brass marker on the wrist there. We think that Thomas Ford was issued this musket. So we actually know the name of the guy who carried it.
Can I ask a question about muskets?
Yeah.
I know that this is going to make me sound really dumb, very non-gun educated. Why are the barrels like 7 feet? Like, are you shooting over fences with muskets? Like, why are they so long? Like, doesn't it seem like by the time the bullet got out, if we have no energy, you'd be like, ah.
Yeah, well, if you look at the one that's behind it, this is from the late 1600s, it's a fowling piece. And this was actually used in the Revolutionary War by a guy named Thomas Gould, who patrolled the beaches of Quidnetset with it. You can see the barrel is like almost 5 feet long.
Yeah. Does that help?
Little guys,
How does that help?
a picture like the Yosemite. Well, back then, the gunpowder was pretty crude. So the longer barrel helped it burn efficiently.
Okay.
They were used for, this is a fowling piece of sporting armor. It's like a shotgun. And remember back then, the geese and the ducks that came in every year, we can't even imagine the numbers of them. It's like Alaska today, it's crazy. So that's a fowling piece. If you look now, even sporting shotguns made from geese and stuff have very long barrels. So it's similar to that.
Tim, is
They
it
got
also
better with the manufacturing.
Go ahead, Kevin.
part of it has to do with the fact that the barrels aren't rifled, right? There's no grooves. You're shooting balls. So the longer it
Right,
goes straight,
Keep it straighter, yeah.
Yes and no. The diameter of the short musket, the non-commissioned officer's musket, and the fowling piece are about the same. They're about 68, 69 caliber. It really would have helped to give them a little bit more velocity and reach. They would have used the fowling piece as a shotgun, so it would have had shot in it, as opposed to the musket, which would have had just the musket ball.
Things I don't know.
The rifles back then were tough to load, right? You had to have a tight fit of the ball down the bore. So they weren't very efficient as military weapons because it took 3 times, you could fire with a rifle.
Nope, your mic is cutting in and out.
A well-trained guy could get like 3 shots a minute off. So it
All right.
really affected your firepower and your volume of fire, which was important back then.
So wait, so now about this armory. So not only does
Take
it
a
have,
tour. I'll talk to you about that for hours.
yeah.
so wait, so not only do you guys have
At
like
least you guys, what the heck?
no, you're there. Not only do you guys have stuff that is history and that people should know about. On top of that, though, this is also a place where,
All right,
as
something
Buddy
happened
will
with my
tell us,
audio. If you can hear me, give me a thumbs up.
I can hear you,
Yeah.
Buddy. I'll throw to you then. With all this stuff, right? First of all, no one knows about this history, and they should. It's ridiculous.
Absolutely,
Secondly,
that's why you scream off the rooftops.
Secondly, the paranormal side of it is that this armory has got a lot of activity, right?
But paranormal side of the armory, it's not just like you talk about attachment theory. It's not just attachment theory, as it is like investigating a residential home where you go and you meet the people or the spirits that built the place, the people that made the place what it is today, the people that cared for it for over 35 years. Like in that spirit box section, right upstairs from where Tim is, in the what was it, the drill hall. We had the spirit box session with Kevin, and we were making direct contact with what was it, Major Wilson, who was the curator of the museum for 35 years and lived in that very area. So it's not just the bloody gloves or the weapons they carried or the flags that they were captured or fought and died for, any of that. It's for the people that made it and who built it, you know?
So wait, and so while waiting for Tim to get, it's rain, there's technical difficulties, we get this. While he's getting himself prepared again, this is the armory where we had a show really way back, right? Where we listened to a spirit box for like the whole show, and it didn't say a single word.
Mm-hmm.
And literally, I think at that point, me and Kev were like thinking to ourselves, "See, this is nothing." And then 5 minutes to the end of the show, literally, if you want to go back and watch it, you asked it about what you just
Major Wilson, what he thought of, yeah, exactly.
how did you like what you done with the place?
Comment about somebody that was there.
No, but you said you like what so and so was done with the place.
With Tim and Patrick, yeah.
And then it went. We heard, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now that literally we have that on one of our shows. Like that actually happened to us. Like I thought, did you hear me start to go, who said that? What's going on? Because I don't believe that. But when I go back and listen to it, I still get kind of chills in the sense that like that voice, I'm telling you, is from like the 40s or 50s. It had some of that radio 40. It just, whatever. It had that sound to it.
Yeah.
It wasn't us. You know what I mean?
He didn't have an accent. He pronounced every syllable. Like
Kev, what did you think when that happened?
Yeah, I think you and I had kind of the same reaction because I remember Buddy and Kevin and the other guy that was there. I think maybe Joey Carmel was there too. They didn't react, and you and I were like, "Well, who said that?" Like, because it wasn't either of us. It didn't look like any of them said it. And we kind of had to go back and hear it a few times. But yeah, the style of the voice, the tone of the voice, did not sound like something from 2020 or 2021. Whenever we did the show. That was really cool. That was probably the coolest part about it.
And
We should post that link.
Hopefully, if Tim can get back in that very area we were in, he saw a spirit that resembles the man that I was addressing. So hopefully we can get Tim back on and.
Buddy, make sure though, make sure to remind me to put the link to that episode in the comments for this show, so that people can go see that episode, and we can timestamp it where they can just fast forward to, or they can watch the whole show, hit the like button, all that stuff. You know how it goes. I have a hard time with the whole YouTube. No, I have a hard time with the YouTube thing in the sense that, like, everybody I watch a show from has to tell me to hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment. I mean, it is actually important, but it's just after a while, it's like, I wish we could come up with different terminology to get people to do that. Like, you know what I mean? Like our own words. But for now, it's hit the like button, subscribe, and Tim is back.
Sorry about that. I'm not sure what
All
happened.
right, Tim. We covered for you. We did some dirty jokes.
Oh, I'm sure you did. That's all right. Sorry, I missed them. So you want to talk about stuff associated with people passing away, right?
Yep.
This fact here I'm going to put on.
All right.
Beautiful, Tim. Awesome.
Yeah. So my first experience with Buddy, she stayed paranormal. The cat figured pretty greatly into that. I consider it my first paranormal experience here at the Armory. So what you have before you is a leather artillery helmet. You can, let's see, I'll show you the uniform here. I see this picture here. We got some guys in uniform wearing the hat. It's an ungainly, unwieldy, ugly kind of thing. There are about 7 or 8 hats that were used by Continental Army forces in the American Revolution, and this is one of them. This is probably our rarest artifact. This is worn by a guy who is Captain Lieutenant Benajah Carpenter of the United Train of Artillery. He was wearing this hat when he was killed at the Battle of Long Island.
Wow.
In 1776. He was covering the escape of the Continental Army from Long Island from the British forces. There's a repaired bullet hole in the left temple of this hat. And
wow.
Buddy, if you want to tell the story about our experience with this hat, I think you tell it a heck of a lot better than I did.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
Hey, Buddy, wait 1 second. Why were they battling over Long Island?
Well, New York was the capital. So it was very significant to the Continental Army to hold it. We didn't, and it was occupied for most of the war. So withdrawing the troops from Long Island was important to the preservation of the Continental Army. If they had cut off the army and destroyed or captured it, the war would have been over.
Wow.
All right, so this is fairly, 1776. So you're talking just the war started April of 75. So you're talking 15 months into the beginning of the war. So it was a really important battle. So Benajah Carpenter was a sailor and a cabinet maker. And when they formed the United Train of Artillery in April 1775 to support the siege of Boston and Providence, and this is their original charter from 1775. And then this is their flag. This is from the 1830s. Their original flag looked like this. This is the first flag to use a coiled rattlesnake and the first flag to use "Don't Tread on Me" as its motto. All the other flags that you see came after. Anyway,
all right, Buddy.
All right, so
Buddy,
the paranormal.
Buddy, one second. That "Don't Tread on Me" flag is that started as that was a Rhode Island flag first, and then because every time you see it, it's always associated with New Hampshire, and then all the other stuff after. But don't tread on me with the snake.
The yellow one that you see is Gadsden. That's from Virginia. So what happened was the UTA, the United Train of Artillery, was formed in Providence in April 1775. This is their flag. Ezekiel Hopkins, the first Secretary of the Navy, was a Rhode Islander. The second flag with the "Don't Tread on Me" is the naval ensign. It's got the red and white stripes with the rattlesnake and says "Don't Tread on Me." That's the second flag with the snake on it. The third one is the coiled rattlesnake on the yellow field that you see, the Gadsden flag. It's the most famous. You can see that the Rhode Island flag is pretty complicated. It's got stars and banners and anchors and cannons. It's also got "In God We Hope," which is the old Rhode Island motto that abbreviated to HOPE. So that's why. We're the first. Rhode Island was the first.
Buddy.
Okay, so the first time we investigated this place, Joey Paranormal and I went and we visited and whatnot. Patrick kind of gave us a tour, talked about the hot spots and stuff, talked about that time ago something. We went there and we brought everything in. And when we were walking around, now Barnum's a very big place. They got this level that Tim's on right now. It's the museum. They got a level below that. That's the old shooting range. They got the drill hole that's above that. They got an area above that. They get the staircase that goes straight up to a tower. We got an area upstairs. It's this little storage room, and then it goes up to another part of the tower. So for one reason or another, we were drawn. It's not about this storage room. So we opened up the door, and we didn't do it on the Salem, but beginning of every investigation, one of us sits in a particular area of the building. We just sit and we listen, natural sounds, the area, what's going on, kind of like calm ourselves, whatever. So Joey Paranormal ends up going to sit up on that step going into the storage room, and he felt all sorts of weird. So our first session, it was myself, it was Joe, it was Tim, and it was Robin, who was a medium, and that I worked with many times. I had no doubt about Robin's accuracy or whatnot, but Tim had no idea. Tim, this is the first time I met Tim. Probably 2015. So we go upstairs, first section in this room. It's a room maybe about, I don't know, maybe 15 by like 10, and then it has a stairway going up further up into the tower and storage area and whatnot. So I was sitting on the stairs, and Joe was sitting below me and whatnot. We would sit around in this small area in the dark. And as soon as we walk in, we get settled, we sit down. Robin just, it's like, Ben, 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 Ben. And she started saying Ben. Now, bear in mind, this hat wasn't even in the museum at the time. We didn't even see the hat. We didn't hear nothing about the hat. I had no idea the hat existed. And she started talking Ben, 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 Ben. Right? She started talking about a guy that was in the Revolution. She was talking about a guy who sent letters home to his family saying, I know you don't want me here, and it's my duty as an American, as a Rhode Islander, blah, blah, blah. And he had like so many kids, and she identified the kids that he had. There's a big issue, and Tim's just sitting there like, oh, okay, all right. And he's not emotional. He's not like, oh, or nothing. He's like, whatever. And I'm like, oh, I don't know what she said. And she keeps going like, oh, everything you're doing here, hats off to you. Hats off to you. My hat's off to you. She just kept saying that. And I'm like, this is not real. This is, I don't know. This is like whatever. Maybe she's coming, but I don't know what the hell she's talking about. So we did like about an hour session, and we did all this. It all focused around this artifact that I had no idea even there or existed. Went downstairs, didn't see anything out of Tim's reaction. Didn't see anything. As soon as we reconvened with the other group, who was Dale, Patrick, Charles, them. We reconvened in the room, and Tim went running right up to Patrick, like, oh my God, you'll never believe she knew about the hat, she knows about Vanessa, she knows about the letters, like everything that she mentioned, the letters to his family, this record of that, the fact that he was shot in the head, the hats off to you, everything just matched. And it was so, when I overheard Tim talking about it, I was like, wait a minute, there was something to that? And I was like blown away because he made he didn't lead into anything. He just sat there and just like, yep, okay, and just let her talk and held every emotion in. And then he was like a schoolgirl in the basement when he was talking to Patrick about the hat. Like, what's going on? And this is the hat they're talking about.
I try not to wet my pants because she nailed it.
Wow. So again, this is another. I'm going to say it again about the armory. For people that consider themselves, I don't want to say ghost hunters, but that are into that type of thing, they like to go check out places that might have things.
You can't. They are only open to Ocean State Paranormal. That's the thing about the armory.
But here's my question:
you can take a tour. You can see all this fantastic stuff. But as far as ghost hunting, occasionally we'll do a public investigation when it's available. But they're not.
So don't bring equipment. But if they wanted a tour,
just go and
if you want a tour,
for what it is, chances are you'll get touched. I've been touched there 100 times.
Dude, first of all, I'm asking you about tours. You're telling me about how you got touched. Like, let's rewind. No more touching.
That might have been me. I admit, that might have been me.
That's what I'm saying. You never know.
Funny
theory. He was in the room, but he was in front of me, and I get touched from behind. So
all right, I don't want to know about being touched from behind, buddy. Again. Tours. How do you get a tour?
Turn, dude.
How do you get to take a tour? By appointment? Help me out.
Hit us up. You go to our website, Varnum.
Tim brings up whenever it's important information. You notice that?
Sorry about that.
It's like a James Bond movie.
Find it out.
Aliens.
The bad place. Is it RG?
Buddy, how do you set up a tour?
Okay, so you contact
Sorry about that, guys.
John, you call him, you leave a message.
Go to the website.
He'll get back to you. He usually does tours on the weekends.
Go
Tours are free
online.
normally. Is it Carter?
Yep.
Free.
Yeah,
No
you hear me now?
charge.
Go online to the website. Go to the website and book a tour online. That's the way to do it. We'll contact you. Patrick does most of the tours. We'll set up a time and be down to the Veterans Day. We do a couple of fundraisers where the museum's open. With the COVID and stuff, that's been put on hold, but we do a beer tasting at the Armory, usually in November.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Hopefully in 2022, we'll start those up. We've done events here that Buddy sponsored with Roland Comtoy, who is an interesting, interesting person. But usually we set up tours online. It's pretty easy to do. We're very responsive to it. It's something that we really like doing. Buddy, related to the psychic that we had on the very first visit, she was walking past this display case, and she got right here and started complaining that her head hurt. And she walked away.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah,
and her head was fine.
Right.
And she walked back, and she's like, "Oh, my head hurts." She's like, "Oh, my head's fine."
This is awesome.
She couldn't see that, and if she saw it, she probably wouldn't know. This is a World War I helmet. It's an American. It's a copy of the British. It's got a mailing label on it. Some intrepid soldier mailed this home to his family. Why? I don't know how good it's coming on the camera, but this is a dent that looks remarkably like an artillery shell fragment. And she was complaining about head pain walking past it, back and forth by it. So, where a piece of shrapnel went. There it is. So this is a piece of World War I. It's an artillery shell fragment recovered from a battlefield. Right? You can see
Wow.
how well it fits that pattern.
Yeah.
So, again, I don't know the spiritual part of seeing things or the energies that go with that stuff, but there's a lot of potential energy down here.
I'll tell you what, Tim, you're the first one to reenact something physically. You're the first person to get up. You did the walk. You showed how she walked back like that. Thank you for that. That's the first one we've had, Kev, right?
Yeah, that was cool. Yeah. So Tim, you're there right now. You're probably by yourself, right? It's it's dark. It's Sunday night. You're there late. You feel uncomfortable.
Go do my
See?
Right on cue.
Right on cue. He freezes just when he's about to tell us the important
Dave's
information.
got a great story about in that room with the light. Can
What's
you hear me? The story you had when you were working there late and with the light, with the light switch. Please tell that one.
Oh my God. All right. So where this flag is, so I'm going to show you. I'll back off here. So you see the doorway here that goes into the World Wars room?
Yep.
My desk used to be right here where the flag is now. So I was sitting at the desk one night working on treasurer stuff, the glamorous part of museum work. And that light in the room here was off. So I'm sitting here working at the desk. This big black cavern behind me. And I'm sitting there looking at it. I was going to go soon, so I didn't do anything. But I kept telling myself, that's creepy as heck. Next time I work here, I'm going to make sure the light's on. I shut everything down. I go outside. And you can see these windows from the street. I go outside, and wouldn't you know it, the lights in that room are on. Every other light in the building's off. I know, without a doubt, that those lights were off because it's creeping me the hell out the whole time I was working here. I get outside, and those lights are on. So
did you go back inside and turn them off?
I wasn't in a big war. I've been scared a few times. The bravest thing I've ever done is come back in and turn off those lights.
I don't think I would have. I would have drove home and I didn't see it.
Me too.
That's it.
Yeah. Patrick texted me. He's like, "Yeah, you got punked by a ghost. Go turn the lights off." I'm like, "All right, I'm gonna turn the lights off." But yeah, that was my first experience here. I've been here for 3 years before I had anything happen, and then Then I did. So that was the first of, kind of used to it now. I don't even notice, I think, half the things that happen just because they happen. The hallway here.
Oh, that hallway's great.
Well, we have footage of the doorknob at the end of the hall turning all by itself. And Patrick was in here working. Before this is all display space, we had a little more work area. And if you put the two cameras on simultaneously, the video of it is the same time the door handle moves, Patrick picks up his head because he heard the door handle move.
Wow.
And he heard it open and shut, and he heard footsteps come up the hall, and there was nobody there.
We have that video on Ocean State Paranormal on Facebook. It's you can see it. You can tell by that hallway, that one hallway. It's a black and white camera. It's the camera from the armory that Patrick sent me that day, and you can see that door handle at the end. The copper door handle, you'll see a black shadow go in front of it. The door handle moves like that, and then you see in the other video Patrick sent me, you can see he looks up as he hits the footsteps on the carpet. But you definitely see it comes out of the kitchen, that room right there, and it goes right in front of the door handle, and it blocks out the sign of the chrome on the door handle. And then it comes right back in, like then the chrome comes right back to the view. It's like it's pretty incredible. You can zoom in, a touch screen like that. You can zoom into the door handle itself, and you can see the shadow actually come into frame. It's absolutely incredible.
Hey, Kev, question for you.
Yeah.
Sorry, Kev, would you ever play Clue or Dungeons and Dragons in this building?
Oh, yeah, there you go.
I would maybe Clue, but nothing worse than that. Definitely no Ouija board. None of that.
Oh,
stuff.
no, not that. I'm talking about D&D, babe.
Yeah.
Roll 20-sided dice. You know what I mean? Get it going. Dungeons and Dragons style. This is a great place to play it.
Yeah.
So, buddy, let's make that happen. Let's have a D&D night.
But you can do that. I don't play D&D, but I'll drink beers.
That's either way, either or. All right, back to Tim.
Good. I feel like I'm on a tour right now. This is awesome. This is like really cool.
Yeah, well, the thing is, right, and we've definitely got the swords and stuff on the wall for playing D&D.
Awesome.
My kids have been asking me for years to come down here and let them and their friends play. So the hallway out here, from this doorway, and then there's a door here that goes into the old kitchen. We've had several people standing at the end of the hall, see a person go from here into the kitchen. And I was given a tour, and a woman was looking facing me. I had my back to the door, and she ran down the hall and looked in the room because she saw somebody come through the door and go into the other room. It wasn't on camera, but she was just taking a tour. She wasn't, didn't have any particular affection for the paranormal.
Good.
So, hey, buddy, you want me to tell them the good story?
Tell them the best story I've ever heard ever. Go ahead, please.
All right. So,
Two
summers ago, I was carrying chairs. We had a meeting downstairs. I was bringing chairs back up. So I came up the stairs here. And I'm going to reenact. I'll do another reenactment for you.
Awesome.
Came up the stairs. I got this cool old stairwell. All
That's
dark
a
and
great,
spooky.
great tower.
Yeah,
Put
it's
a
awesome.
little boy up the top there, by the way. But anyway, go
I
on.
love this place. I came up the stairs. It was dusk. The sun was going down. It was still light out. And I had two folding chairs under each arm. I walked in here, and by the doorway, there's that little sconce light. And I put my chairs down, and I flicked on the sconce light. And as I did, I looked up to the front of the room. And I saw the top half of a man go from here to there as the light came on. And when the light came on, he disappeared. He was mid to late 60s, short cropped hair, angular features, lightly built, about 5'10", and he was wearing a short sleeve button down shirt with pockets like a Dickies work shirt. I looked at it and I said, that's weird.
If you could pick out a picture in the museum, Tim, that
Yeah.
more resembled the person that you saw, could you do that?
Yeah, I'll show it to you. I'll go back downstairs.
Okay.
So I saw that. I said,
work out.
I said, that was weird. Yeah, I need it though. I put the chairs away. I walked downstairs again, and I was thinking to myself the whole time, that was crazy. Well, I came back up with another armload of chairs. I got right here, and I said, you know what? I'm not going in there. I put the chairs down. I went down and told Patrick. Patrick's like, you're white as a ghost. I'm like, funny you should mention that. I just had something happen. I'm not sure I can explain. So we pulled it up. There was nothing on video. But it took me a long time to talk about it with anybody other than Patrick and Buddy. Because I still can't explain it. That's kind of a weird thing. But
unbelievable.
Yeah, it was crazy. I'm not given to. I mean, I got a lot of wild fantasies about myself, but I don't make stuff up. Anyways.
You got a wild. Wait a minute. Wait, stop. You got a lot of wild fantasies about yourself?
Yeah. You know, that I'm awesome. I'm good looking. I smell nice. That kind of stuff.
Oh. I thought you were going like I was on a Pegasus.
No, it's nothing creepy. It's all rated G.
All right.
So this is the guy I saw.
Look at that guy's face.
Well, he's older than this. In this picture, he's in his 30s to 40s.
Wilson. That's the guy, Mike.
That's Jim Wilson. He was the caretaker. He lived here for 30-something years.
That's the guy I asked for. That's absolutely. That's him.
That's Mr. Absolutely?
That's Mr. Absolutely right there.
Buddy posted a picture from his obituary. That was the guy I saw, the guy from the obituary, the old Jim Wilson, not the young Jim Wilson here.
Young Jim Wilson.
That's why I didn't recognize him.
Mr. Absolutely.
Buddy posted the picture. I was like, holy heck, that's him. So,
awesome.
Anyway.
You know what it is? I keep wanting to come back to us, but I'd rather see this place than our faces.
Yeah, show them the Bible. Show them the Bible.
Oh, yeah, the Bible.
The Bible.
Right.
Oh, how do you forget the Bible?
So this is James Chase, right? First Rhode Island Light Artillery was pivotal at the Battle of Gettysburg. Have you ever been to the State House in Rhode Island?
Yes.
You've seen the cannon there with the cannonball stuck in the muzzle?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. They call it the Gettysburg gun, right?
Gettysburg gun.
Battery B, First Rhode Island Light Artillery at the Battle of Gettysburg. They're facing a ferocious cannonade from the Confederacy. Here we go.
There you go. There it is. Beautiful.
Right? The cannon, that very cannon, got struck in the muzzle by an exploding Confederate shell fired from over 2 miles away, and it explodes. It kills 2 of the crewmen. One of the cannoneers is killed outright. He's DRT, they call it, dead right there. Another man, a middle-aged guy, in his 40s, 5 kids.
43.
43.
I think.
Alfred Gardner. He gets his left arm almost severed from his body. He's laying in front of the gun, dying. His best friend, Albert Strait, comes over, and he says to him, tell my wife I died a happy man, and make sure that she gets my Bible. Albert's like, Alfred, I'll do it. I'll take care of it. And then he had to go back and work on the gun because they were getting bombed, right? He didn't have time. He hears Alfred cry out a few minutes later, glory to God, hallelujah, hallelujah. And he dies. They pull the gun off the line, right? They're trying to load it. They can't load it. 2 days later, right, the battle ended the next day. Strait sends a friend of his back to Gardner's body to get the Bible, to send it back to his wife. That's the Bible.
Oh, boy. Hold on.
Not just the Bible itself. I mean, like I was on the Battle of Gettysburg. That Bible holds like this man was in combat for 10 months. And during those 10 months, he wrote journal entries in that Bible about where he was, what he was doing, and then notes to his family, notes to his kids about how to grow up and how to treat their mother. Like he expected to die in battle, and it's all documented in that Bible. It blows my fucking mind. I love this thing.
The last entry in the Bible is January 2nd, 1863. Going into the line, going to be a big day. Children, be of good cheer and always do right. This is the wish of your Father. That's the last entry. But the Bible itself is a diary. It contains all his notes on the campaign trail. He talks about, living on the trail and the battles that he fought in. And to me, I think that's our greatest artifact. Patrick worked out a loan with that from the South County Museum. We put it on display where it can be properly appreciated. This place, to me, to Patrick, to Buddy, the people who love history, is a shrine of holy relics. All right, this flag belonged to Company L, 1st Rhode Island Cavalry.
This is awesome.
Lost at the Battle of Middleburg in June of 1863, when the 1st Rhode Island Cavalry was overrun. Their Captain Dufay basically told the guys to run for it. Not only is this an irreplaceable piece of Rhode Island military history, my great-great-grandfather was in Company E, 1st Rhode Island Cavalry, and survived that battle. And he later died of disease in Pawtucket. He was sent home to recuperate, died of tuberculosis. Wow. The connection that we have is more than just historical. It's a spiritual connection. You know, I tell Patrick sometimes this is like a monastery where the monks to keep the holy treasures.
Is that? Let me ask you something. Is that like a common shape for a flag, like the Pac-Man?
For a cavalry guide on it is. Yeah, they use the butterfly. They still do. The Cav still uses butterfly guide on.
That is awesome. Yep. That is really awesome.
So yeah. So my great-great-great-grandfather, Peter McGrath, a good Irishman, you know, fought under a flag that was just like that, except it had an E instead of an L.
Wow.
And I get to participate in making sure that this thing stays alive forever.
And you know, guys, one of the first things, when I first went to Burnham Armory and I first met Patrick, well, second time I visited the Armory, it's a lot different the second time than from the first time, because the first time was run by the older guys who, like, really, like Tim said, it was like a junkyard. There's just shit everywhere. When Patrick took over, it was orderly, it was beautiful. I saw this flag, and it, like, struck a chord with me personally, because one of my first residential cases ever as a paranormal investigator was this home in Woonsocket, Rhode Island. The home was built by a man, Captain Albert Smith. He was a lieutenant. He went from private to lieutenant in that very company. He was at the Battle of Middleborough. He was one of the guys who escaped, one of the 280 guys that was in that battle, and he was one of 40 guys that lived and escaped or captured and got out. And he was in D.C. when Lincoln was assassinated. And all these guys' notes is in the library in Woonsocket. It's just like this incredible connection that I made investigating this residential case. There was a guy, I brought up all this information, like carrying, like, what would you carry into battle as a cavalry soldier in the Civil War? We were talking about that, and he had a man's voice. I did that. So that when I saw that flag, I made this immediate connection with this man that I had investigated, I guess you could say, some years ago, and it was just like a come full circle for me. It blew my mind that this guy's flag was like sitting right in front of me, you know, that piece of history that I had read about, that I had studied, that maybe I had met. A piece of him existed right there in East Greenwich. So
awesome. But it's all. I mean, I guess, Kev, the issue I'm having is, it's awesome. So I keep saying that, and, you know, I don't know how that makes for a show, but because you just keep hearing me go, that's awesome. But it is. So, you know what I mean? Like, how clean does this place look, Kev? Because it looks cleaner than my place, which, how is that possible?
Yeah, it is incredible. Like, the amount, like, just look at that. You went by a wall, just a wall of rifles or muskets or whatever. It's amazing. And Tim, I saw before you kind of went by it quickly. I think it looks like you had a couple of World War I era like machine guns. Like, I got
let me go back.
Go back to the World War.
Let me ditty bop back there. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you know, and I wanted to ask you one thing about the story you said about the woman that saw someone walk into the kitchen.
Yeah,
that would to me
right here. Actually, I'm standing right here.
That would seem even like almost strange, because she wasn't looking for anything. It was during a tour, so it was probably like the daytime, and apparently from the way it was described, she wasn't freaked out. She just thought she saw someone walk into the kitchen.
Oh no, she freaked out after when she figured out there wasn't anybody there. Yeah, that seems like, yeah, I'm ready to go, honey. Let's. Yeah, so this is a Browning 1917 water-cooled machine gun. It's American from the First World War. This is pretty rare. Most of them were modified after the war. This one is unmodified. There's probably 9 of these left in the world that are unmolested. This is the reason that I work here. I told Patrick all of that when I met him. He knew it, but he let me go on and on very politely. He still politely lets me go on and on every time I do. And
yeah, like
we have a German Maxim.
Oh wow! Okay, yeah, that was the other one I saw when you went by. I didn't realize it was a Maxim. Wow.
Yeah, they call this the devil's paintbrush, right? It's water cooled.
Oh wow.
Belt fed. As long as these guns had water, this is a water jacket. It held about 5 pints of water, and as long as it had water, you could fire that thing as fast as you could load it. So the volume of fire was incredible. There's another one. Here's a Colt potato digger.
Can we make these work? Sam, can we get these to work again?
Machine guns? No.
Yeah, for my front yard, just to have it one day. Just to make it wind up, the noise.
We'd have to be better friends. This is a Lewis gun.
Lewis, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, so Americans weren't big on machine guns, so they all went to Europe. But a guy named Isaac Lewis developed this. 1912 is the model of the original British one. This is an American one from 1917. Here's a bolt-action rifles from the war. There's a French show.
Wow. Pretty
cheaply made. It actually worked okay. They were made in a bicycle shop, of all things. You can kind of tell it's pretty crude. It's a model 1915.
What is that print on Uncle Sam, Tim? The print up top of Uncle Sam? Well, there's another one.
Yeah, that's
Look at these.
Oh, that one here?
Yeah.
Propaganda posters. So we have 600 or 700 posters. We don't have them all on display because we don't have the space. But we have an enormous collection of World War I and World War II posters. And Patrick picked these out, tried to get a variety to show the different messages that they were trying to send, the different appeals. Here's one appealing to adventure. All right, patriotism. This one's very famous. Americans will always fight for liberty. This is a bombardment map of Iwo Jima. Little red dots are where they called fire. It's got handwritten notes from the gunnery officer.
Wow. Look at that. That's history right there, guys.
Right. We've got
we gotta definitely we definitely have to check this out because
we gotta do a show there, man. We should be doing a show there.
Yeah.
We should have been there by now.
Investigation there. Sure thing.
Yeah.
And then we play Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Don't bring a Ouija board. We won't let you in with a Ouija board.
Hell no.
I've been to a lot of museums, including Imperial War Museum in London, and you guys have so much stuff in such a small space. I can't believe it. Every direction you move the camera, you could probably spend a half hour talking about what you see. This is an absolutely amazing.
The samurai sword. There you go.
There you go.
Oh, there it is.
So this is Joe Anefsky. He was with the 2nd of the 25th Marines. He brought this home from Iwo Jima.
Wow.
There's a rising sun flag down there too.
So that's a Japanese naval engine. It was captured from Japanese Marine naval infantry on Okinawa.
Wow.
Japanese light machine gun in front of it. This Jap rifle, let's see if we can get it here. You see that damage on it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been shot.
Huh.
These pictures were captured in a cave in Okinawa. They're ship identification pictures, and that one's the Arizona.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So we've got a piece of a German fighter plane that was cut out of it after it crashed and was shot down. All right, you see the picture here?
That's cool.
That was a donation. Somebody brought that
thing.
gave it to us.
That is really cool. That might be the favorite thing I've seen. There's so much awesome stuff.
Look at the guns. Look at the guns.
Look at that gun. Look at that little gun.
That's a Luger. Not many people know that the Lone Ranger had a Luger.
Really?
No, some guy did that after the war. He went out and tipped my Luger after the war and got it all fixed up. If you've seen any World War II movie, you've seen the German MP40.
Yep.
Oh, the BAR. Is that the BAR?
Yeah, the BAR. So the BAR,
Classic.
every American infantry squad had at least one BAR. And in World War II, about 70% of the BARs were manufactured in East Greenwich.
Really?
Man,
Yeah, Stanley Bostitch.
That's a pretty famous weapon. Wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
bomb
Yep.
weapon.
Yeah, most of them were made in East Greenwich in World War II. There we go. Sorry, I'm 6 feet under this thing trying to get it.
Fuck shit up.
Wow.
Yep.
Hey, buddy,
Yeah.
can you give the address of the armory? Because
6 Main Street, East Greenwich, Rhode Island. It's the big castle.
Can't miss
You
it.
can't miss it.
all right,
Big red
6
brick castle.
6 Main Street,
6
East
Main
Greenwich.
Street.
All right, because people keep
Right.
asking the address for it.
Right
So 6
over the border with Walmart.
BarnumContinentals.org to set up the tour.
Oh, look at that. That's beautiful, Tim. Guns, money.
Yeah, I'm kind of, this is my room. The World Wars room is,
And they
My
don't
happy
promote
place.
war. They don't promote violence at the armory. They promote like memorial. Promote like doing like this is what we fought and died for. This is what we use. You know.
this is Cyril Moser. He was 20 when he died in France in 1918. This is his mother's gold star flag that hung in her window. All right, gold stars indicate that they lost a child in conflict. So there was a mother who buried her only child and hung this in a window to show how much her family had sacrificed. This is Cyril's uniform, his shoulder patch.
Look at that.
That's his campaign hat. In the photograph, he's wearing this hat. The red cord indicates artillery.
Wow.
A yellow cord would be cavalry, a blue cord would be infantry. There's his French fourragère that the 2nd Division earned when he was in the 2nd. I was in the 2nd Division in Korea. We still wear the fourragère that men like Cyril Moser won for the division. His dress cap. He was one of the first Boy Scouts in Rhode Island. We have his Boy Scout belt and haversack. Have his whistle.
Look at this.
There's his obituary from the paper, his sergeant stripes, his medals. There's a 2nd Division medal. Now, his dad was a preacher. After his son died, his father became a chaplain in the army and went to Europe. These are his dad's dog tags.
Wow.
A collector found those for sale on eBay, contacted Patrick, and donated those to us. He bid on those specifically so he could give them to us to display
Wow.
with Cyril stuff. So we have a thing that we call, I call Varnum magic. We call it Donovan magic after Patrick, where things seem to come to us, like those dog tags. Right? People just give them to us. They say, this came in. This is worth about $8,000 and somebody donated it to us so we'd have it so it can be displayed and appreciated. I like this because it looks like it was carved out of the plane with a bayonet.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Fist. So I can just see some guy stabbing the German plane going, you blankety blanks, I should be back in Woonsocket. Stabbing the plane. It's like David taking the head of Goliath as a souvenir. But there's so many things, so many little things that happen that bring artifacts to the museum, like this flag. Right? This was wrapped up in a plastic drop cloth, taped shut with blue tape. And it's the oldest American flag in America.
Wow.
Yeah, that's amazing.
This little
So,
sword right
Kate,
here.
Make a note to yourself. Tim walks around with a bayonet. Just remember that when you talk.
Yeah, I've been writing them all down. I mean, if I want to play Dungeons and Dragons with the guy, I gotta know what he's packing. You know, I don't
There you
know.
go. This is
Wanna get
16th century
stabbed.
halberd for you.
I can't.
Spears.
Look at this stuff.
Oh yeah, that weapon that you just touched upon. Wasn't that found in a basement in New Bedford? The one on
This
the
one
left?
was.
Turn it back around. Oh yeah, that one.
This halberd here.
In a basement, under a basement in New Bedford, and you dated it to like the 16 or 1700s in England.
Yeah. Yep. They carried him as marks of rank. This is a continent. This one here is a Continental Army platoon. Spontoon. This spear.
I know.
This is 15th or 16th century, but they would have used these in colonial times, right? It was still an effective weapon.
Right.
This letter here, Patrick found this in a box. This is a handwritten letter from an African-American Rhode Island soldier writing back to his family in Rhode Island. He dictated it, but it's the only letter from an African-American soldier that we know to exist from the Revolutionary War. He was a Rhode Islander, and he was from Warwick. His name was Thomas Nichols. So we were going through a box of letters, and we took a pile. Each took a pile. We took about half the box and split it, got a quarter apiece, and we're going through it. And one of the letters was from the guy whose box it was, his son in World War II. And his son is the same name as my son, the same first and last name. So I looked at the envelope, and the guy's address was my mother's address in West Warwick.
Jesus.
So Patrick's going through it, and he finds a letter. And after the guy lived in West Warwick, he moved to East Greenwich in the house next door to Patrick's. So a couple days later, Patrick comes in, sticks his hand in the box, and comes out with that letter. So we had clues that something was going on.
I guess so. I think it would have been scary if you opened the box and there was a letter and it was all about you.
Well,
Like, not only did it go back to your house, but it was you in person. It's like, and there's Tim. And you're like, what the Christ?
yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. The sword was brought by the Marquis de Lafayette when he came back to America. He went on tour after the Revolutionary War.
Oh,
Really?
He brought it as a gift. This is on loan to us from the Union Drummer Boy in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. They're big supporters of ours. And we have a huge toy soldier collection.
I want one of those. I want a sword. I do. I want a sword like that. Or the kids still say, as the kids say, I want a sword.
Well, we're not a gift shop, so you're gonna.
World War I drip, the pointy helmet.
Hey, look at these things.
That's the, like Prussian,
Pickelhaube.
like German Prussian stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is a recent donation. It's the early German hand grenade. And then, of course, the classic German potato masher. American. This is a German gas mask used with the leather from dog. It's dog skin gas mask.
It's just
Belt buckle, artillery shell fragments. There's the Kaiser.
awesome. Awesome.
These pictures
Go on and on to this place.
were taken by an American from the body of a dead German officer. They took him out of his wallet.
Wow.
It could have been the guy's son and
That's
daughter.
crazy.
It's very sad. 100 years later, it's a terrible, terrible thing.
I just, you know what it is with this place, Kev? I'm afraid that I would walk in and just start spinning around like the sound of music because it's something on every side and every wall.
Yeah.
The world is alive with history. And I'll be like, ah. And everybody knows exactly that spinning motion. Look at this thing. Worn by Private Jesse. Oh, that's my brother's name. Go back to that for a second, Tim.
Yeah.
Brother Jesse. Worn by Private Jesse Whaley of East Greenwich, Rhode Island, blinded by enemy grenade.
This is his uniform,
Oh.
his helmet, jacket, his gas mask carrier, his trousers. His family donated these to us last year so that they'd have a proper home. He wrote up an account of the battle where he was blinded, and it was published in the New York Times.
Wow.
And you can see in the picture, he's got his Braille typewriter. He was very successful after the war, raised a family, married, and by all means, he lived a really good life after his injury.
Yeah. Tim, I saw, I think the 180 degrees opposite, there was a Nazi flag on the wall, like a small one.
Yeah. Yep.
What? I guess what's the significance of that? Like, how
How do we get a hold of that one?
That was donated by the family members of a World War II veteran. It's a little flag. It probably flew on a car. And again, we don't fly this stuff because we support it. We show this as, this is a pretty common souvenir.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a symbol of evil.
Yep.
I always compare this. I used it a minute ago, that this is when David chopped the head off of Goliath.
Yep.
That's what we show here, is the defeat of an evil ideology.
No, I agree. But you know what it is about that thing? When you see one of those flags, as much as I think evil, I always want to know, well, how did we get it?
Yeah.
Like, how did we beat the snot out of evil to take their flag? You know?
Because we kicked their asses and took it. That's how we got it.
Amen. That's right.
So, Tim, how long does a typical tour take? Because I could probably spend 6 hours in this place.
Amen.
Yeah, then we do a 6-hour tour. Depends on the interest level of the people taking the tour. I can give a tour in 3 hours. I can give a tour in 45 minutes. It depends on the level of interest of the people who are taking the tour. If it takes 6 hours, it can take 6 hours. If you do a 3-hour tour and want to come back, by all means do that.
No one comes back from a 3-hour tour, Tim. Don't you know the song?
2 hours, 40-minute tour. That's a World War I
That's the
third
bomb
bomb.
you were carrying, right?
Yes, I was bringing it here to hang up. That was a heck of a project.
Tim is the bomb.
Jeez.
That's like one of the first bombs used, right?
That is a U.S. Mark I aerial bomb. It is the first adopted U.S. manufactured aerial bomb in 1918.
Bam, right there in East Greenwich. Look at that.
Yep, 100-pounder. And then we have another one here in the back. It's a small one, right there in the corner, kind of hiding. That's the kind of guy would have leaned out of the back seat and dropped it by hand.
Yeah.
We have the largest collection of German communications equipment from the First World War in East Greenwich. Signal lamps, field telephones,
Bam.
Pioneer equipment, right? We have the wires, the pickmatic, the entrenching tool, compass. Their little belt there with Gott mit uns, God is with us.
Oh,
There's actually a bullwhip, a German bullwhip from the First World War.
bam.
Right? They used a lot of horses.
Can I borrow that?
No.
Dang.
We're
Dang.
at a lending library for perverts now.
No. Oh, time out. I wasn't
What?
talking sexual. I just got a gigantic dog that won't get off the couch. That's all I'm saying.
Sure, we believe you, guys.
Yeah,
Right.
right? Which is code, I guess, for being perverted. Let's go. Keep continuing.
All right.
Look at that thing.
Yeah. It's called the butcher bayonet because of the shape of the blade, the German bayonet. There's one with saw teeth.
Ooh.
Nice. Slice off a leg and
Oh, thank God I don't own that.
Bam.
German broom handle Mauser, very distinctive looking pistol. This one was manufactured in 1898. It's a model 1896.
Yeah, that looks like everyone I've ever seen in a video game with, like, there's a German or something.
Right.
Well, you ever seen Han Solo's blaster in the Star Wars movies? It was
Same
based on
thing.
this.
Yeah.
Yep. Do you remember the part in Star Wars where they take Chewie down to the detention level?
Yep.
Chewbacca's carrying one of these.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
The German MG-34. It's a belt-fed air-cooled machine gun from the Second World War.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we got two of them. We got one here too. Up here.
Oh,
You see the belted ammunition?
that would hurt.
Yeah, well, the 8 had to go through a 10-inch oak tree
Oh,
at 100 meters.
Jeez, this.
It's a powerful round. But you know what they say, guys? Happiness
Not the size
is
of
a
the gun.
belt-fed weapon. Happiness is a belt-fed weapon, people. So,
I thought it was not the size of the gun. My bad. That's what I would think it was. Not the size of the gun in the action, Kev, but it's the action inside the gun.
yeah. These are artifacts recovered from the Battle of Rhode Island on Aquidneck Island.
1778. Yeah.
And yeah, August 1778. And the connection is that Thomas Nichols fought there as part of the First Rhode Island. He helped repel 3 attacks by Hessian mercenaries. So he was in the thick of it. He saw the elephant, as they would say in the Civil War.
Unbelievable.
And
Unbelievable.
we've got some things from the current conflicts in the Rhode Island National Guard.
Nice.
So at some point, we're going to convert this large room into display space. We'll free up more room. Our intention is to have displays that cover the Korean War, the Cold War, Vietnam, the Desert Storm. We've got some material in from the current conflicts. As you know, the Rhode Island National Guard has spent the last 20 years fighting terrorists in Iraq and Afghanistan. This is a Vietnam era rucksack It was just donated to us, so this will be part of our Vietnam display.
Oh.
The box is material from a gentleman who fought in Vietnam and then served with the Rhode Island National Guard and retired. He fought as an enlisted man in Vietnam, as an infantryman, joined the National Guard and became an artillery officer. So the material in here covers the course of his career from Vietnam all the way through.
Wow.
That'll be part of our display. We
Hey,
want
Tim.
to tell the story of Rhode Islanders in the current conflicts. Yeah.
I got an idea. Maybe make a space for like the battle of the sexes or the battle of the network stars.
Yeah, we're
You
trying
get,
to
like-
avoid that.
Yeah, but I can do it for you. I get a picture of Chachi because he was always the best at the battle of network stars. We'll get like Tony Danza going over the obstacle course. We'll make it like really classy, you know?
You know, that might actually attract more people than the history does, unfortunately.
Battle of the sexes room would just be like some dead roses, a bunch of apologies from guys. Then that's pretty much what it would be.
Well, you know, there's enough stuff. If you come down here looking for trouble, you know, you'll find enough stuff to offend you. You know, a lot of the posters and stuff weren't exactly sensitive to today's kind of modern sensibilities.
Right.
Right? You've got this young lady here, Chief of the Navy. All right, so it's 1917. They're appealing to the sex appeal of a young lady in uniform for the First World War.
Damn, those are bullets.
Look at that.
The artillery shells.
What does it say about women? They can save us by buying stamps?
So war bonds, yeah, war saving stamps, war bonds. Right, Joan of Arc, right? Joan of Arc saved France.
Right.
I don't think she ever owned stamps.
We were trying to say
Yeah.
that.
All right, good. I got that right.
Saber for you. The German heavy cavalry saber from World War I.
Wow.
That's nice.
Mike, that could be the one for you right there.
More
No, I
bayonet.
cut myself with that one, dude. That one's way
Big
too long
knife.
and curvy. What the heck? I gotta be like, "Ah," by the time I pulled it out. It'd be preparated or something.
Whoa.
There you go, pop the
Holy
cannons.
There you go.
Holy shit.
Nice
that
gear.
was the size of my
Look at
leg.
this. Look at this stuff. All right. We're having a blast. Buddy, it's up to you. We're 24 minutes over. I haven't said a word. I just keep going.
I'm just letting Tim walk and doing his thing. I mean,
Is there anything else we should see?
I can
oh my
show you
God,
everything.
Like the whole armory, go there in person and yeah, do the story with your own eyes. But other than that,
I showed you the uniform a little while ago of James Chase. I said it was this uniform from Gettysburg, a blue uniform with a red sash.
but
This is his battle history. This is something he had done after the war, an escutcheon, they call it. It's got a picture of him at the bottom with his name. And it lists all the battles that he was in. And it was like almost every major battle of the Civil War that guy fought in.
That's
He's just,
incredible.
you know, they talk about PTSD and stuff.
Yep.
I can't imagine the stuff that some of these guys saw and how they dealt with it after. That's why the veterans groups back then were so important, because they had people that they could, who experienced the same thing they did, and they could go through their catharsis and their healing with the people who had shared those experiences, because nobody understands like somebody who's been there.
Yeah, exactly.
Patch collection, right? World War II,
Unbelievable.
all the awesome units.
Airborne, there you go, Tim.
All right.
I want a patch. Kev, can we get patches made?
You're not too old for the reserves, Mike, or maybe you are. I don't think you are.
Dude, are you kidding me?
You can go in the reserves. I'm sure they give you a few patches.
Buddy,
a
I'm
few cookies, you know?
I'm athletic when I get like after like 2. Like so
Yeah.
like anything from like 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. I ain't running. It's not happening unless someone's chasing me.
You see this fella here?
Yep.
That's Joseph Richard. And Joseph Richard's family donated a few things to us. One is the yellow ribbon that his mother wore when he was missing in action.
Wow.
Right, he fell at Corregidor. The other thing is the telegram that his mother got from the War Department verifying that he had died in Japanese captivity.
Jesus.
And then the other thing was his mother's Gold Star hat. She was part of the American Gold Star Mothers. There's a group of women who had lost children in conflict. So again, we talk about people getting together in groups for catharsis and healing. I can't imagine a group of people who deserve healing and love more than Gold Star mothers.
Oh, 100%. 100%. What was it? Go up again for a second. It was a Western Union. How hard was it to send a Western Union letter back then? Because now if you go into like a Stop and Shop, it takes them like 40 minutes to send anything to Western Union.
For long distance communication, that was a very common way for them to communicate, so it was a lot more efficient because it was used a lot more.
Yeah.
It's kind of fallen into. This is a collection of Thomas Campbell. He actually survived the war. He was a bomber pilot. He flew B-24s. And this is his personal collection. This is a photograph from his aircraft. You see all those little black dots?
Yep.
Yeah, it's German anti-aircraft fire flak.
Bam.
Wow.
Right? There's Cologne, Germany burned out.
Oh, it was awesome. Except for the church.
There's some of his compadres there.
Wow.
His crew. It's a knife that was in his, a trench knife that he had in his collection. All right, his bombing squadron patch. And then a little arm brassard in Russian saying that he's an American and to help him out. You know, he's not a German, don't kill him.
You know what's crazy is we keep cheering every time we see something that's anti-German from that war. And like, it's nothing against people that are German now, but they did try to attack the whole world. Like they had world wars twice, just the whole world. So.
Oh yeah. No, they had it coming. I'm not particularly sympathetic to, I mean, the thing is, right, when you talk about stuff, you know, on the individual level, you can be sympathetic to an individual who's caught up in something they have no control over. You know, Hans the bread maker didn't have a lot of choice if he was drafted and sent to fight the Russians.
No.
You know, it's the politicians and the generals who made all the horrible decisions. And there were individual contributors who did horrific things. But some guy grabbed up the streets of Stuttgart and drafted, you know, and sent to Russia. He was just doing his job, unfortunately. Just unfortunately doing it for horrible people. You know, and the Russians were our allies, and if anything, Stalin put Hitler to shame with the amount of people he murdered.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. He was also a monster.
So now where does what's his name, the Italian guy, fall into this? Mussolini.
You know, Mussolini, he was he didn't let Hitler kill Jews. He didn't send Italian Jews to get slaughtered. He protected them because they were Italian citizens. Wow. So I'll give him credit for that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Because I mean, we gather up Japanese civilians like in the 40s, something like that.
We did, yeah.
Fishing camps.
Yeah, Mr. Sulu, George Takai, spent a couple years of his childhood in an internment camp in Japan. So, but I think, you know, comparatively speaking, we definitely weren't the bad guys in World War II.
No.
You know, we did some dumb stuff like that, but that's only dumb in retrospect. If you look at it from the context of the time, you know, people were terrified of what Japan was going to do, and they didn't know.
Am I imagining it, or is it real when I say that, like, people were so much more pro their country back around this time, I mean, than they are now? It's not even close, I would think, to how they are now.
Nationalism, yeah, much more bigger back then.
Well, before Pearl Harbor, there was a huge anti-war movement in the country. People were very isolationist. And then once Japan attacked Pearl Harbor, everybody was all in. It was like a switch being thrown. It's like overnight, you're going to, to support what we do. And it was total war. We don't fight war. That was the last time we fought a war like that. It was a total war. We bombed their cities day and night for months and years, you know, indiscriminately. And we didn't care. You know, we didn't care if we bombed Dresden and killed 100,000 civilians. We were fighting.
Yeah, so I was going to say, like firebombing of Dresden is a very good example of that. Complete, total annihilation.
Yeah, and you know, I'm not forming an opinion on that. I'm stating a historical fact. And you know, these are just regular guys who wanted to go home in all the wars. You know, there's some people who are really like it and are good at it, and most of the people who serve when they're in a war like want to go home.
Do that.
For with. And so
that's crazy. All right, buddy.
Oh my God, Tim, you could go to this museum like 4 more times, and we would still see something different that we haven't seen yet.
Yeah.
But in closing, thank you again, Tim. This is like, is that what we're doing here? We're in closing, yeah. Thank you again, Tim. This is like amazing. I could go in like once a week and see something awesome every time I go. Go to the Barnum Armory, call the Barnum Armory, get an appointment with these people. See more than you're seeing right now. This place is amazing. I've been saying it for almost 10 years now. It's absolutely incredible. And they've done so much more in the last 5 years with Tim and Patrick involved. Tune in again in November. I'll give you the exact date if you give me a second. In November, we're going to have part 3 of the Armory. We've seen Patrick. We're seeing Tim now. We're going to see the conservator, Maria Vasquez, the woman who's a genius and does amazing things with the fabrics and restorative, and she restores like moths, what they chew out of uniforms. She put the original fabric back into it and makes it look like it was just created. She'll be on the show on November. Oh Christ, where is she? She's the 20. Oh, I don't know. No, she's in October. I'm sorry. Maria is. Oh my God, I'm all over the place.
Magic buddy had a reading. Go ahead.
Oh my God.
Sound it out. Pronounce it. Like sound it out.
November the 14th. She'll conclude our amazing tour of the Armory, and I would be willing to bet we come back to the Armory and do more shows because there is always something new at the Barnum Armory. Next week, join me live from Lake Umbagog in northern New Hampshire. I'll be in the woods. I'll be in the middle of nowhere. I'll be with Bill Sutherland of Kilgore and Joey Paranormal. And we'll have Chris Rondina as our guest. He's an author of a lot of things historical and a lot of things paranormal. So it'll be an interesting, maybe not as interesting as today's show, but as Tim keeps going on and on with artifacts that continue to blow my mind as I'm talking. I could walk through this place for hours and do a show for hours here. But anyway, thank you.
Jim, you got anything you want to say before we wrap it up?
I want to thank you guys for showcasing the Armory. We really appreciate your support. Love your show, buddy. You know you're part of the family here. We love you, man. Amen. And you guys, thank you so much for your show. Thanks for having us on so many times. We appreciate it and wish you guys the best. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to just maybe have Tim comment on in closing here. You said the tours are free. Financially, I guess, what do you how do people help out the Armory? Like, are you guys funded? How are you funded, and what can people do to help out?
They should donate.
We're funded. Yeah, we're funded by donation. So if you take a tour and would like to make a donation, we're happy to accept it. If you'd like to make a donation otherwise, we're happy to accept that as well. If you follow us on social media, particularly Facebook, we put up a specific fundraiser for specific artifacts there. Right now we're doing a fundraiser to purchase a flag that belonged to the local East Greenwich Civil War Veterans Group, the GAR. And we do things like that. You can donate online. We are a 501c3, so your contributions, gifts are tax deductible.
Cool.
Can we get that up on the site? The website, legitpodcast.com. We'll put it up on the site so people can donate from there.
Absolutely.
All right. Kevin.
That does say Thomas Jefferson.
Jeez.
And that says James Madison.
Third president and fourth president of the United States.
It's hard to let go right now because he keeps showing us stuff.
I know. It just keeps going on and on.
I'll let you guys go. Thank you again. We really appreciate your support and love your show. Thank you.
I want to give a shout out to Jeff Ahern, Kevin Hart, and Joey Paranormal, which is fantastic. That's now his name. That's how it goes. That's just how it goes.
They're all awesome guys. We love all three of those guys too. They're awesome people. And you want to talk about a real hero? Jeff Ahern is a genuine, certified, all-American hero. He is the man.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but great things about him. That's
well, we do this to honor people like him and the sacrifices, the valor, the bravery that men like him have shown. It's just a small way of our appreciation for their fealty and loyalty to the United States, to the sacrifices that they and their families have made for the benefit of all of us, And you know what? American soldiers don't just fight for America, they fight for the people of the world. We spread freedom, and we fight to save people, not to occupy them, not specifically to rule them. You know, it's definitely a selfless sacrifice that they make. And Jeff is one of those people. I'm honored to know him.
That's awesome. I totally agree. So, all right, guys, we're at the 1 hour and 36 minute mark. I'm going to do the quick wrap up here. Our next show, Kev, is going to be on Wednesday night. It's 8 o'clock. It's going to be, we're re-premiering Legit Fantasy Wrestling. We're actually going to call it The World of Legit Fantasy Wrestling. So it's Wolf W. That's what our monitor is going to be. Yeah. So tune in. It'll be me and Joey Paranormal. I don't know. Maybe we'll call him Joey Wrestling for that show. Who knows? There's a million options. But for me, Mike Lepre, Genius Kev, Buddy there, my new friend Tim, who we had Tim on before, and Tim was in the background. So this is kind of technically Tim's first and a half visit with us, right? He's like 1.5 visits.
1.5.
Yeah.
He's part of a threesome before, and now he's just there.
Yeah. Stop talking threesomes and be in touch from the back, please. Again, it's been me, Mike Lepre, Legit Paranormal. Guys, go to legitpodcast.com, please. We're going to be putting up Ocean State Paranormal's link there. We're going to be putting up a way to give and donate to the Armory on the page. We're going to be doing a lot from the page, www.legitpodcast.com. Again, it's me, Mike Lepre, Legit Paranormal. Who'd you talk to? What's going on? We'll see you guys soon. Thank you, Tim.